Hi guys, Togre here with a new video, and this video will be a talent showcase video for Dragonflight Elemental Shaman. So we will do Elemental Shaman video, a Enhancement Shaman video, and maybe a Restoration Shaman video, although I don't really know a lot about Restoration, but we're also going to discuss about the builds that I would make for PvP. I'm excited because there is a lot of good talents and a lot of good choices, so we can go right away. So, in the shaman tree, whenever you choose elemental, you get chain lightning and the lava burst. So basically you get a easier way to get a few talents. I'm going to discuss about frost shock, which is probably a super important talent for elementals. I would always pick a frost shock. I would also pick astral shift, and I'm also going to discuss every time if there is a new talent or like an azeroth power or whatever that is going to be converted as a talent. I'm going to discuss it more in depth, but for now it's a bit basic. We get the DR, of course, we get the wind shear, we get the earth elemental, which is pretty big, we get fire and ice because we want to advance even further beyond. And now we have the more choice talents. So for example, that's why people are going to like the talents from Dragonflight, because you will have a lot more choices. What I'm meaning about it is, if you're facing versus a team that has little to no actual fear, or they have no fear, why would you pick Tremor? If they don't have fear, charm, or sleep, Tremor is a dead talent, so you could just skip over it. A capacitated totem will always be something super useful, so I'm gonna pick it. But here, the same, Cleanse Spirit removes all curses. If you're not playing versus a team that actually needs to be like dispelled, like curse-wise, you don't need to pick Cleanse Spirit. You can just skip over it. Hex will always be useful, so you always take Hex. And then you have, like, again, few choice talents. Like for example, I will always choose to get a longer Astral Shift instead of a more DR Astral Shift. Why? Because I think if your wall is longer, people will switch targets more easily, or at least you will be more safe for a longer period of time. Also, the CDR, so the 30 seconds less on Astral Shift, will probably help you a lot for surviving the second go, for example. So it will become a 1.30, like a 1.5 minute CD, which is 1 minute and 30 seconds. So those are the mandatory talents for me, and now we can a bit like explore the other mandatory talents. Like for example, Spiritual Walker's Grace. I feel like it's a very important talent for Elemental, but you also get the immunity to silence and interrupts, and I feel like this will probably help you to cement that burst window if you have a burst window. So I will always take Spirit Walker's Ages. You can also take the Graceful Spirit, which is a restoration shaman again. A talent, but I feel like you will have more value by having the immunity to silence and interrupts. Since you don't have that as elemental shaman, it will be new to have it. So I'll take this. Of course, you have the choice between Greater Purge and Purge. I will always take Purge. There is no real indicator to actually take Greater Purge because it has a 15-second CD, and you want to spam Purge most of the time, so I'll take Purge. And now again we have more choices. I'm going to discuss it as a way where you're playing versus a warlock, for example. So it's pretty important to have Tremor Totem, so I'm gonna pick Tremor Totem, and then we can go back to Earth Grab Totem, which is a new talent for Elemental Shaman. They had that before, I think, in Mist of Pandaria, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken, so don't quote me on that. But that's a big talent because you will be able to actually kite people more easily. So I'll take Earth Grab Totem. And now we need to make decisions, and I feel like totemic projection, which is relocating your active totems to a specified location, you can then just do like capacitated totem place, which is pretty big for a elemental shaman. So totemic projection is pretty much a go-to talent in my opinion. You can also go back and go for Guardian Schedule, which basically you will have a longer stun, so whenever you're stunning someone, a second Capacitator Totem automatically dropped in the same place, or if they break it, they are kind of screwed because they cannot break the second one, or they will need to spend resources to actually break the second one. So I feel like Guardian Schedule might be a very good talent, so I'm gonna pick that. And I will always take Nature's Guardian, but again, if you're playing versus a priest, which has mind games, maybe you should maybe pass over it. It's a 2-point talent, so I guess you get more HP whenever you put more points. So for now, you don't really see it on the talent section. And we are going to improve lightning bolts because in the elemental tree you will see that I'm going to improve the lightning bolt effects and talents that are like combined to or for it, so it will be useful to actually have it in your class tree. I'm gonna pick lightning bolt. So you have one more talent to spend, and I'll spend it for the Earth Shield, because there is a second good talent, which is perfect for elemental shamans. It is actually Elemental Orbit, which increases your elemental shields that you can actually have applied on you. So you can have Earth Shield and Lightning Shield, which is pretty big, but also you can put the Earth Shield on you and an Earth Shield on someone else. So that's very big. It means that you will be more safe. So I'll take this Elemental Orbit. And then we are like further, like you see there is like a few good paths for you to take. I will take always Nature Swiftness. Why? Because an emergency heal would be pretty sick, but also a emergency Stormkeeper, because there is a lot of Stormkeeper on the elemental tree. That can also be very sick. But you also have a lot of possibilities, like for example, the cost. It costs no mana to actually do Earthquake, Elemental Blast. I think Earth Shock, because it's not written, but I think Earth Shock is also in it. So you will have an emergency spell. So I feel Nature Swiftness will be a very good spell to use. I'm gonna use that. Thunderstorm, a very good spell for elemental, so you will always pick that. And now you have Lightning Lasso, and Lightning Lasso as a normal talent, which basically gives you a extra PvP talent, which is pretty big. You'll see that also in Frost DKs, wherever you can go for a Chill Streak as a normal talent, it will open up more builds for PvP talents, like at least. So let's go for Lightning Lasso. And now the difficulty part is, where do you want to put your points in? And for me, I prefer to have this pass, because you have Surging Shields, which basically you will always have it because you have the extra talent that gives you an extra shield. So I'll pick the Surging Shields. Basically 100% more damage on Lightning Shield, generates more Maelstrom, and also more healing done from your Earth Shields, which is also very good for 2s and 3s and RBGs and BGs for every situation that you would like. Call of the Elements, which basically resets the CDs that you have used on your most recent totem. So I'll pick that because it's very interesting for example, Tremor Totem. I would mostly use for Tremor Totem, but also for Earth Grab. You can use it for multiple things, but I'll pick it for the Tremor Totem, for example, resets, which is pretty big versus, let's say, priests, but also warlocks. So Call of the Elements, and you can also go for this talent. I will always go for this talent purely because it will affect another totem, and since you will spend a lot of totems in your build, it's always nice to have more possibilities. But also improve Call of the Elements is also very nice because it will reduce the CD. For me, the first one is the best, but you can also go for the CDR. So you get 2 totems at the same time, and now you have 3 points left. And now it is basically a flex. Now those are flex points. So it depends if you're playing like versus a curse team. Like for example, if you're playing versus a shaman, it's very nice to be able to dispel hex, for example. If you're playing versus warlocks for the agony, for example. There's a lot of good things, but I would spend, for example, here Voodoo Mastery, which gives you a 10-second CDR on hex, which is pretty nice and pretty neat. I will also go for the Tranquil Air Totem, because here you have like an option Stone Skin Totem, which basically gives you a 10% DR for the whole team, because the yards, like 30 yards or 34%, 34 yards is pretty big, so it can be useful. But for me, the pushback and the incoming interrupts effects by 50% might actually help you to deal damage or heal yourself or your team. So I will go for Tranquil Air Totem. And then we have like 1 point left to spend. And here you have a totem where you can actually dispel poisons, which is pretty big versus assassination rogues, but you need to play versus specific comms with poisons. Or for example, a hunter, whatever. So that's 1 point, is a flex point. I would probably spend it on maybe Clan Spirit, because this is like 3% leech is like nothing. I would spend it on the Clan Spirit. Wow, that's my build for Elemental Shaman. Pretty much, I'm not really flexible. You could go for Gust of Wind, because Gust of Wind came back. I'm gonna discuss it more in depth with Enhancement Shaman. But you have a lot of good talents that are coming back. Like for example, Ancestral Guidance, you can have it as well with Nature's Guardian, so you will have a team utility, but also a self utility for it. Your conduits are also coming back. You have also Mana Spring Totem, which is pretty big for PvE, I guess, and also maybe for dampening games. I don't think Dragonflight will be a dampening meta. They don't like it. You can also go for more mobility, although for me, Spirit Wolf might be good. But Thunderous Pulse every minute, like having a snare removal, is not that interesting for me. So this is more or less my build. I think the the Shaman tree are well made. Obviously, they wanted to give the most utility possible to the Shaman tree, and the Elemental tree and the Handsome tree and Restoration tree more like precision on the specs. So let's discuss right away with Elemental tree. I'm gonna give you like maybe two builds, but I'm going to go for my own build that I would make if I played Elemental. So Earth Shock, of course, pretty much all those spells you are going to take it, because it's very important. Like Elemental Fury, having 50% more damage on your crit is pretty neat. Fire Elemental still very big. Here you have a choice where you have a DR and whenever you have an Elemental active, but I prefer the Healing Surge is that they are actually more effective on yourself. So I'm going for Refreshing Waters. Lava Surge, you're basically like in need of playing with this. Um, You will need Earthquake to advance further, so I'll take Earthquake. And then I will try to get the Inundate, which gives you a Maelstrom whenever you're like wind shearing, purging, cleanse spirit, whatever. So I'll take that. You also have the possibility to go for the knockdowns on Earthquake, but again, in arenas you're not going to do Earthquake, so Inundate it is. And then Call of Thunder, because I want to have a Lightning Bolt build, because I miss pressing Lightning Bolts more often, I would say. So I'm gonna play with this. And then you have, of course, the obvious thing that we want to go for is Stormkeeper. So I'm going for Stormkeeper, and then I might just go for this, which reduces the nature spells. So basically it will reduce nature swiftness, it will also reduce Stormkeeper, so it might be very interesting to play with. But let's talk about the right side first. So the right side, you have Echo of the Elements, still BIS, you will need that. Call of Fire, pretty much BIS, because you want to improve your lava damage, your fire damage in general, and it's your best talent, I think, on the right side, because you will improve everything you're doing. Here you have Flame Shock, damage over time effect now occurs 15% more more often, which is pretty good for your Lava Surge, pretty good for your damage in general. I'm going for that. And you have Improved Flame Tongue, but really, do you really need that? You can go for the fire spell damage being increased by 5%, but I feel like for a single talent that you're going to use, I feel like it's too little. They might need to buff it if people want to take it. It's pretty much mandatory if you want to go Storm Elemental, but why would you pick something that improves your fire damage whenever you are actually spamming Lightning Bolts? So that's maybe a mistake from them, or they wanted to actually give you like less options for the right side. But I will always try to reduce the CD on Flame Shock, so it will become a 3-second CD. I mean, it will reduce 3 seconds. I don't know what's the real CD on Dragonflight. And now we have like even more options, because we want Aftershock, because Earthshock is going to be very big on this talent tree. So I'm gonna pick Aftershock. I'm gonna pick also Power of the Maelstrom, because I want to have more overloads and more chances on overloads. So I'm gonna pick this. And I don't like this talent. It reduces the Maelstrom that you need to spend on Earthshock, so it becomes a 50 Maelstrom, which could be interesting, especially if you're going for Elemental Blast. I might think Elemental Blast would be a good thing, because it reduces by 15, so it will be reduced by 30, which basically will make a 60 Maelstrom spell. But I feel like the tooltip is wrong, because you're basically going to replace Earthshock by Elemental Blast, because I read the notes, and it does little to does little damage, like in comparison. So I think it's a bug. But I'm gonna pick Flash of Lightning because yeah, I like to reduce my CDR on nature swiftness and on stormkeepers. And you know now there is a trend of CDR going on Dragonflight because every spec or every class has some sort of CDR built in their kit, and that's a very good sign because they actually learn from their mistakes. Being only have one class or two classes that actually have CDR can be overwhelming for other classes, and you can see then some disparities between the classes, between the specs in like arenas. So I think it's a good thing. So we have like 1 point left. I would then pick it for the extra crit on healing, which is 50% more healing on crits, which is pretty neat. But you're not going to crit a lot except if you're going to build for crit. And now we have a few options. Thing is, you can play pretty much 3 or 4 legendaries at the same time. And I'm going to say that you're going to go for deeply rooted elements again. Although Echoing Shock is gone from the looks of it, except if it's becoming a PvP talent. So yeah, I would pick deeply rooted elements again. You can go for Ascendance, but I feel like it's a worse version since it's a 3-minute CD. But you can even improve it more because while you are Ascendance, you will gain 7% additional haste, which would be 14% if it's like having 2 points, but also further beyond, which gives you like possibilities to extend ascendance. Again, you're going to CDR the ascendance or try to improve the ascendance by extending it. So it's very good. So you have a lot of options. I will go for Primordial Wave again because it's very strong. I'm not going for Elemental Blast, so basically Elemental Equilibrium will be very hard to actually proc, except if there is a PvP talent that has Elemental damage. So basically I'm not going to take it because it's very hard to actually proc it. I can actually take this, but I'm not really into earthquakes. I don't know how much damage it can do in PvP, so for now I'm not picking it. And the last talent, it feels a bit weird because again you have Lightning Rod, which is a known talent in Legion, but in Stormkeeper, problem is with Stormkeeper is that does it become a second Stormkeeper or does it improve? So that's very sad to not know. But I might see like streams from Alpha to actually see if people have like 2 stacks or if it's just a not yet implemented talent. So for now, I'm going to assume this is like a dead talent. I'm going for Tumbling Waves again. It becomes a 30% a chance to not incur its cooldown, which is very big because I liked it in Shadowlands, but also Splintered Elements, which again is a haste buff. So basically, with all those haste buffs that you have, you can actually play something else like Mastery or Crit to actually be relevant. I'll still pick Primal Elementalist because the extra powers that it gives are very interesting. I'm gonna pick it, but I don't know if I'm going to go even further to have Skybreakers because to be honest, I have still 4 points left, so I will need to make choices. You can also go for a Frost Shock build, but I don't know how much damage it does. If I do the calculations myself, it might be very good, but it might also be very bad, like Shadowlands, for example. So I would go for probably a ascendance build because I want to have a lot of haste, and this build will give you a lot of haste, basically 15% extra haste. You will get here 6% extra haste per lava burst that are actually going to be additional. So if you're playing 3v3, you have like 3 flame shocks, then basically you will have 18% plus a 15%. So basically you will have the basic haste that warlocks would have on their gear, which is pretty nasty if you're going for a mastery build, for example. And now you have like 1 point left. I would then spend on Master of the Elements because again it's a 10%, it's a nerf, but it might be still good because of Stormkeepers. So this is basically the build that I would play if I had to choose right now. But I'm going to give you another option if you want to step away from that haste and you're going to build haste by yourself. I would then play with, maybe I'm going to remove um, I'm not going to remove this because there is some possibilities, but I'm gonna remove, like, for example, I'm gonna remove splintered elements. So I would remove, for example, splintered elements. I think it's not the best build, but I might try it if I will have a beta. So I will go for Echo Chamber, and will then go for Mountain will fall. Basically, Earthshock will be applicable for your mastery, which is pretty big because again, if it's applicable, then it will also extend the ascendant. So instead of a 3 seconds, and like you get the mastery buff, it will be a 6 seconds. So it's going to be very big. I feel like you will have like long ascendance procs, and it might be still very good. But then you will probably play half haste, half mastery, or pretty much full haste. You can also go for the Skybreakers again, which is a very good talent. But I feel like you have so many good talents as an elemental that you will have to make choices. Do you want to go for the lightning route? You can also remove those 3 talents and go like Stumbling Wave. So you can basically do this, which is pretty much going to be like with this Swirling Maelstrom. It will improve your Maelstrom, and I think you have 1 point left. So that's the difficulty of this talent tree. So you will go for a lava burst build, so you will improve your lava damage or your fire damage. So improve fire flame tongue would be nice, for example, and then you go for deeply rooted again, yeah, the oath of the Farseer, and then further beyond, and then you will go for probably primordial wave, tumbling wave, waves, splintered elements, and you have two more points left, and you can go for the primal elementalist. You have 1 point left. Basically, you will have to choose a lot of things. I don't know, man. That 1 point is kind of sad. So I would not suggest to do that. I would just suggest to keep. That's not what I wanted to do. I would suggest to keep the build that I've said. So, for example, I'll remove the Maelstrom. I will take Stormkeepers and Flash of the Lightning. I would then go for Primordial Wave, Tumbling Wave, Splintered Elements, Deeply Rooted, Oath of the Farseer, and further beyond. So basically, this is the build I would go for. You can also improve Flame Tongue and go for the Swelling Maelstrom, which basically is a big thing, but I also go for the Primal Elementalist because I forgot that it's removed itself. So this is pretty much the build I would go for at first sight. Maybe PvP talents might change things, but let me know what you think about this build. I find it very fun to theory craft. I think it's going to be even more fun whenever the beta comes out and when the final builds will come out for those talents. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will see each other very soon. Bye.